Hi everyone, welcome to one of our first sessions of concrete. What I want to do in this video is go through all of our concrete components individually, go through the properties and the parameters, how we set things up, and then build upon it as we go through our model and build up to a larger scale project. I think it's important to go through all of the individual items and elements before just tackling a big project. That way we get an understanding of what's going on. So my level 1, I'm going to start with our slab. So structure, slab, foundation slab. Okay, I'm just going to draw it here with a line for now. I'm just going to make it just a random shape to start off with. Okay, so nothing too complex. What I'm going to do now is I can see in the properties I have a 150mm foundation slab that I've just made, and these are the ones I can pick from. Now I want a 100mm thick slab, so I'm going to go edit type, go edit. I'm going to change my, before we do this, we always duplicate. Okay, always duplicate, that way we build up our library as we work. Go OK. Now that I've duplicated and I've made a new type, I can edit. I can change my thickness, and in here I can specify my concrete grade. So in here, if I go concrete, I'm going to take a 25 MPa concrete and go OK. Go OK again. Now what I have here is what I'm looking at in the properties here, the properties of the slab. What I'm interested in is this rebar cover. Now Revit comes standard with a 25mm cover. Sometimes that isn't enough, so I'm going to go structure, reinforcement, rebar cover settings, add. I'm going to add in a cover for my slab cover. I'm going to make this 30mm. Whilst I'm here, I might add in 2 more covers. This will be for my columns, and this will be for my beams. My column cover I'm going to make 50. This is very dependent on obviously the strength, as you guys will be learning, and same with our beams. I'm going to make it 40. As you learn in your concrete design, this is based on that smaller D, which is the top of the beam to the center of the bottom bars for the moment capacity. Whereas our columns, it will need a bit thicker, also due to fire. So I go OK, and then what I'm going to do in my rebar cover is I can set these now to be that slab that I've asked for or specified. Come back to modifier, click the tick, and now I have a slab. Alright, if I look at my 3D, if I change this here to shaded, this is my slab in here. The next thing I can do is I can put in some mesh. So level 1, so I can see my slab, structure, fabric area, pick the host, so pick the slab, and now what I want to do is pick the lines. So pick the lines, which is the outside of my slab, so the area that I'm going to put that mesh into. My fabric sheet, we're going to put in a SL82. Hopefully you remember this from basic drafting. Click the tick. Okay, so now I have some mesh in here as well. Please take notes as how we're doing these things, because these will build up as we go. Now if I come to my 3D, I can see I have mesh sitting in my slab, but I need to put an edge beam in here now. So these are going to be very important, especially when we have a suspended slab or a slab on the ground. For our house, what we have effectively is we have an edge beam where we sit our brick course on the outside. So we're going to create one of them now if I go slab, I put in a slab edge. If I click this bottom line, I have this here. Okay, this is an edge beam, which isn't what we're after especially for a house. We don't put these here. This is more for a suspended slab, or even for our warehouse. So what I need to do is I need to change this, but I'm going to create the family first. So what I'm going to do is go File, New Family. I'm going to come down until I can find a metric profile hosted and go Open. Now that I've opened this is very confusing, everything that's going on here. So bear with me. The best way to explain it, I think, or to visualize it, is by putting in a couple more reference lines. So these dashed lines are reference lines. They don't show in our model. So what we can imagine is this here, this y-axis is the boundary mark of the slab. This x-axis is the bottom of the slab. Okay, so if I look here, if I look from a side, I come here, so that y reference here in the y plane coming up and down is this side of the slab. The x is the bottom line here of the slab. Okay, so click one, right click, create similar. I have a 100mm slab. Hopefully this will allow us to see it a bit better. So if I now measure, that's my slab. This is my slab up here. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to put in an edge beam. So from our standard, this is the edge beam that I'm talking about, where my brick core sits on the rebate. Now, if I go create line, I know from the top of my slab, my rebate sits at about 25. And then it comes across, has to allow for the brick and the thermal gap. So 150, 110mm brick course, and a 40mm gap. It's then coming down to a depth which is specified from the design engineer, and the depth of our footings is measured from the top of our slab. So for a 500mm footing, from where I am, I have to come down another 475. Thickness of our footings is 300. For every 100mm bigger than that, we have to increase, we have to add an extra bar in, top and bottom. So go enter. And this bit's a bit tricky. I have to come into the bottom. I have 100mm of blinding sand, and I have to come into the bottom of that and then up at 45 degrees. So I come up 300, and then I come up at a 45 degree line. Okay, so if this is 90, 45 is 135 from there. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is just close off that shape. Once I've closed that shape, I'll delete the line that I put in to start off with, and this is our edge beam. Now I know it looks a bit funny, hopefully it'll make a bit more sense when it's in our model. So File, Save As, Family. This is our edge beam. This is for a house. Save. Load into project. Okay, sorry, before I do that, I need to come in here in the properties, my profile usage. This is a slab edge, and the material is concrete. Apply, save, and now load into project. Overwrite, because I just saved one in. Come to the 3D. Okay, now I'll just find the beam that I put in before. Gonna select it. Go edit type, profile. Click the down arrow, and I'm after this edge beam house. After that, the material I'm going to specify to be the same as the grade of concrete for my slab, so 25 MPa. Now what I'm going to do is quite simply come around the entire slab, making sure I click this bottom line and put in my edge rebate. Okay, again here, and then one more over here. So now what I can see is this higher side is my finished floor level, where my timber studs will sit, and my brick course will sit in that edge rebate. Okay, so that's how we create that family there. Alright, so now that one's been done, what we can do is I can take a section through here, just to show you what it looks like. Go to view, detail level to fine, hidden lines okay. If I zoom in, I can see my mesh, I can see my edge beam and my slab. Now I have this line here saying they're not connected. So what I need to do is I need to join them. So Modifier Join. So I want to join my edge beam to my slab. Hit escape twice, and now my elements are all connected here. Okay. So this is how we do our edge beams. Okay. I'm going to delete them now, and now I'm going to look at a concrete beam. So structure, beam, concrete, edit type, duplicate. I'm going to make it a smaller beam, so 300 by 500. Go OK. Now what I need to change is my depth, which is my height, to 500, and then go OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw in just a free beam here to start off with, and then as we build up we'll be putting these in, we'll be allocating levels and grids, and we'll be building up towards it. So if I take a section through, right click, go to view, I can see this beam here. I'll just change the scale here. I'll just change the scale so that way we can see things a bit clearer. Detail level to fine, hidden lines okay. Now what I want to do is put in some rebar. So rebar, go OK. I'm going to put in a beam, we have shear, and we have bending that we have to account for, or flexural strength. So our shear, we've got the shear strength of the concrete, and then if the concrete isn't strong enough, we have to add in our ligatures, so our HT, which are these ones. If I press spacebar, this is going to flick the tie cables around. So if our concrete can't handle the shear, we add in our ligatures to strengthen it, or we have to add them in as well just to hold our longitudinal reinforcement or our flexural reinforcement. Now, when we're putting these in, we specify our rebar set. Our ligatures, usually we space with a maximum spacing of 300 millimeters. I'll put that in here. And then for my longitudinal reinforcement, or my tensile reinforcement, is shape S. Okay, if I try to come in, I can see it's running vertically and horizontally, which means I have to change my placement to parallel to cover. Change my rebar to be N16s. This time in my rebar set, I set how many bars I want. So I know how many bars that I want. So I want 3 down the bottom, usually, and then 2 up top. So 3 in the bottom, and then 2 to set up top. Okay, and now also for my beam, I want to specify my grade of concrete and my cover. So click on the beam, structural materials. This one here is cast in place concrete. 25 MPa. My rebar cover settings, standard comes to my 25. Going to change it to be my beam. So as we can see, if I change them one by one, we can see what's changing. So top, bottom, and this is going to be the sides. Okay. If I look at my 3D, this is the beam that I've modeled. I can then select my beam. I can change my visibility graphics. So if I right click, I can go override graphics in view. I can make it transparent so I can see what's sitting inside of it. Apply. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my ligatures. I'm going to click my tensile reinforcement and my compression reinforcement, or my longitudinal bars. So I select all of them. So I've selected everything. Now to be able to see these better, what I want to do is in here, in the properties, edit, view unobscured and a solid for both my analytical and 3D views. Okay, so that will put, if I change this to fine, it shows the actual thickness of the reinforcement sitting in here. Okay. So that's how we model a beam. If I delete this one, if I come back to my level 1, I'm going to delete this section again. I'm going to set up some grids now and put some columns in. So I'll put some grids in. Start up here, say 4,000. I'll just put in just a real basic frame. So I hope everybody remembers how to put in these grids. Another one, say, do 4,000 away again. Okay, and I'll just tie these up. They're a bit too much. Now what I'm going to do is columns. Column. So we have rectangular ones. We have circular, we've got drop panels, we've got all kinds of different ones. If I go load family, structural columns, concrete, I have a drop panel, which is this here, which is used for our punching shear. I have just a normal rectangular column. I have circular columns, again with this drop panel, which is a plain circular one or a square column. Okay, I'm going to take a square column just for now. 300 by 300. Yeah, we'll go 300 by 300 for now. I'm gonna place them at my grids. Okay, escape. Select all my columns. I'm gonna change my top level, so from level 1 to 2. Change this here to 0. Go apply. So base offset to start at the level, not be cut below it. These are the columns that I've put in. Okay. Select all my columns. I'm going to change my structural material in here to 25 MPa. Okay. My rebar cover setting is going to be for my columns. Apply. Now what I need to do is I need to work out a way to put in my reinforcement into my columns. If I go rebar, I come down to HT. Okay, I can't quite pick these columns at the moment. Okay. Oh, sorry, now I can. So in my current work plan I can't. If I change to any of these two, I can. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my HT, the properties, to be N6, so a real thin bar. Place. I'm sorry. That's okay, that's gone in. I need to change the cover settings in a second. So rebar set, maximum spacing 300, and I'm going to place these ones in here, in there, in there, and in there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put in my longitudinal reinforcement. So shape S, rebar, rebar set. Now I know you guys haven't done your columns yet, but what will happen, just like steel, you'll get bending in 2 axes. So we'll have an equal number on all sides. So if I go fixed number of 3 and 16s, hopefully they fit in here. Change my placement. So 3 on one side, 3 there. Now what I'm going to need to do is place just 1 in the middle. Okay. So it's even on all sides for its bending. Now if I select filter, so I can only grab structural rebar, all I want are my these bars here. Oh, sorry, Control, Shift, hold Control, select what you want. These ones I can copy from my grid lines, just because I know where they're going. So that will go there. So like I said, what we're doing at the moment is just learning how to put in things into the different categories. As we progress, we will be getting more and more involved into things. So it's a bit boring at the moment, I understand, but we're getting there. We're just building up a model slowly. So copy these ones down again. So now if I come to my 3D, same principle. If I select all of my columns, override, if I make these a bit transparent, okay, if I now select everything, filter out, check none, grab my structural rebar, and then in here, if I look at my graphics, tick all of these, go OK, we'll say this is how we have reinforced our columns. Okay, so now that we've put our columns in, if I come to my level 2, the next thing I can do is go beam. I'm going to put in 300 by 500 beam, spanning here, another one spanning this way, this one, and this one. So if I come back to my 3D, this is how we're looking. Now these beams are very deep compared to our columns. Okay, so we can fix this up. I select all of my beams, edit type, duplicate. It's going to make it a 300 by 300. Oh, sorry. Okay. It's a bit nicer. Now these beams will have to come up to sit on top of the columns, or because we're going to have to bend some steel, some rebar through here. So what we might do, for now we'll leave it. When we look at a proper model, we'll move them up. So now what we're going to do, we've got our beam sitting here. If I come to my level 2, I'll put a slab on top as well. Slab from this corner to this corner. Click the tick. If I look at my 3D, I'll hide the analytical model. So what we can see is at the moment we have a slab that's supported on 4 beams, which is supported on 4 columns. Okay. Now these beams we can put in our reinforcement again, and we can put our mesh into our slab again. So fabric area into here. Pick the lines of the slab, which I don't think I just grabbed on any of them. So pick lines, tab. Okay, make sure you are picking the right line. So click tab, SO82 top. Okay. So now I have mesh in the top. These beams here. What I'm going to do is if I come to my level 2, I'll take a section. Go to view. This is this little beam here. What I'll do is I'll just double check, make sure that it is. I reckon I might have clicked the wrong. Oh no, sorry, it's measured from on top. Okay. So this slab needs to come up another 100 millimeters. That looks a bit better. Okay. Rebar. HT. Maximum spacing. 300. Okay, I can't place it in. Parallel. Oh, sorry. Rebar. I didn't mean to cancel that. So N6. Here. Make sure that rebar set hasn't changed. Sorry. So modifier. Click on the ligature. Change it up in here. Maximum spacing 300, and I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom of my mesh. Okay, now I have a line splitting between, which means one of my elements isn't specified, or neither of them are. So it looks like neither of them are. So my beams, click one, right click, select all instances in entire project, change my structural material here. It's going to be my cast in place 25 MPa. Okay, I still have a line here. So click on my slab, edit type, edit. That's cast in place 25. Okay. So this line here is just this level. So if I change my scale 1 to 20, that's all that line is now, is this level line. Okay. So please make sure you are using the same concrete the whole way through your project, unless noted otherwise. Rebar, shape S for this beam, change the placement, fix number 3, and 16s, and 2 up top. So It's not very nice, so I can click here. I can click it once. I can use the up key on the keyboard, and that will move it for me. Or you can click and drag them with the mouse, it's up to you. Okay, so that will put this suspended beam in there with the slab. Now what I'm going to do is just make all of these beams and the slab transparent so we can see the steel. Category. Okay, just make it a little bit transparent here. Same with the slab. Where are we? Oh, maybe not. Sorry, I've grabbed the fabric, not the slab. So tab. This here's the slab. Right click. Increase the transparency. Filter. Check none. Just grabbing my rebar. Okay. Now because I've grabbed them all together, it's not going to let me override the graphics. So I'll do the rebar first. Change it all to 3D. This will be for the beam. So this beam running through here, so now I can see them. And we'll see if we can grab the fabric. Might not let us override this one to make it thicker. No, it might not, so that's okay. I'll grab it from another side. Oh, really? Select all fabric in host. So we can edit it, we can change these sheets. So this is okay. Alright. So what you can see that I've done is I have modeled my steel in my columns, my steel like the mesh in the slab, my steel in my beams. Okay. These haven't tied together the best, and this is what we're going to be focusing a lot on throughout our concrete modeling. I can see a lot of overlapping and clashing with my steel. In reality, they don't act and come out like this. So please just take notes as to how we've come up with these. Elements I haven't done so far is the pads or piles. We will touch on these. One more thing that I would like to go through really quick is